The coming collapse of the U.S. Treasury market. Never heard this one before. All right, so my man, what's his name? David, something like that, writes in. He was on the live stream last night, and I kind of discounted him because I said, "Dude, come on, man, let's think this through." But he emailed me, and I probably was a little bit hard on him, so he emailed me, said, "Hey," and he put it in a different way other than the live chat and the live stream. All right, so anyway, he goes, I'm the one who asked you a question last night about the looming liquidity problem in the U.S. Treasury bond market. As you said, I read too much news, and it's true because I want to be informed. Dave or David, the news isn't informing you. The news doesn't get paid to inform you. It gets paid to scare you so you keep clicking the clicks so they can sell advertisement. Just because you read the newspaper, you're not informed. You read The Economist. I read The Economist. I'm informed. No, you're not. You're not informed. You're informed of what they want you to be informed about. And it's freaking fear porn, dude. Why do you think they say if it bleeds, it leads? Man bites dog, not dogs bite the dog. Man bites dog, not dog bites man. Why do you think they show so much racial animosity? Like a white guy shoots a black guy, it's all over the news, but you never hear about the other thing, the black guy shooting the white guy. Because it creates this animosity, this us versus them. That's what they do. They don't want you informed. They want you in fear. And you're falling for it. I don't even know what the markets did today. Actually, let's take a look. I have no clue. So let's see what we got here today. It's 5:01 Eastern Time. Markets are closed, and we are good. Well, 10-year Treasury passed 4%. All right, there you go. And then the S&P 500 is up 84 points. All right. So S&P 500 is up a good day today. We'll take it. So we've had the last 3 days? We have 2 great days. Yeah, 2.65. Last 3 trading days, we've had 2 great days and 1 bad day. All right. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I think it's a fair question to ask who's going to buy treasuries if the Fed, Japan, and China are cutting back. Now that the Treasury is floating the idea of buying treasuries, the question seems more important. Okay, now that the Treasury is floating, okay. So he's basically saying who's going to buy treasuries now that the Fed is no longer quantitative easing and Japan and China are cutting back. Then he says, I listened to Greg Manarino, and he can wind me up, and then he gives me a link to a Zero Hedge article, and I'm not going to read it. I don't know who Greg Manarino is. Maybe you should stop listening to Greg Manarino. All right, so anyway, let's dive into this. This is a good article right here. As the end of right now, we got about 30 trillion in U.S. debt, and that does not include the unfunded liabilities of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. All right, so we know we have lots of debt out there. Off balance, what they do, off budget, I don't even know what the government does, off balance bookkeeping and stuff. It's insane. No one knows anything. It's insanity out there. And yet, we still have the ability to sell debt to the public. And why? And to the public being foreign governments and individuals as well. And why? Right here. Foreigners are attracted to the U.S. debt due to its high credit rating, relatively stable currency, and history of repaying its debt. Yeah, 100%. Despite scares that China holds large amounts of U.S. debt that they will sell, it's not very likely because China has a huge incentive for. Do people not know how this works? China buys our bonds. All right, that's what happens. So they buy our debt. They own the U.S. government debt. We pay them in our interest. These debts are never maturing. None of these debts are ever going to mature. We still have budget deficits of hundreds of billions of dollars on top of the debt we have. We'll never have a balanced budget. Anyway, so what happens now? So China buys our debt. They give us money. We pay them interest, which is okay. It's nominal, but we pay them interest. You know what else we do? We use the money they use to buy our debt to buy their goods they sell to us. That's how this works. Who is more beholden to the other? Are we more beholden to China because they buy our debt? Or are they more beholden to us because when they buy our debt, they give us money for which we use to buy their goods? Who do you think is more beholden? Now, in some things, large power transmissions, steel, we're more beholden to them, 100%. However, the Chinese communists, who just met, by the way, they have every incentive to keep their population not rabble-rousing. And the way they do that is to keep the economy humming with jobs, and that way they do that is manufacturing, export economy. All right, so what happens now? The dollar gets stronger. Makes exports cheaper. So China then wants to buy more of our debt, so we have more money to buy more cheaper products from them. It's an amazing thing when you think about it. It's not that hard to figure this out. China, in every significant instance, is not wanting to sell our debt because we buy so much of their goods. Oh, but Russia doesn't hold a candle. The EU, hell, the EU, you kidding me? Okay, maybe, but because of Ukraine, no. Russia isn't going to keep the average Chinese employed. India is going to overtake China as the #1 populous country in the world by the end of this year, most likely. There's not enough. India's in the same boat as China. They're third world. They're emerging markets, if you will. So India isn't going to buy Chinese goods. India and China are almost at war anyway. So who's going to replace us, the United States? Well, nobody. Until we collapse, which is inevitable. All empires collapse. That's why we should not be going to any of these wars anymore. Bring everybody home. Have no more bases in Europe. No more bases in Japan. Bring them all home, man. But you can't control people if you don't have your bases there. Anyway, long story short. So China has a huge incentive to buy our bonds, so we have the money to buy the goods that they want to sell to us, so that they don't have a communist revolution and send Xi Jinping up a la Mussolini or Cusco, if that makes sense. All right. On top of that, China doesn't know that much of our debt. So here's the holders of U.S. debt, held by the public, U.S. and foreign governments. 78% of our debt is owned by the public, U.S. and foreign governments. 22% is held by intergovernmental agencies, which include right here, governments, GSEs, government-sponsored entities. I don't know what BD stands for. Corporations, others, broker-dealers, I don't know. Social Security, Federal Reserve. I mean, here's Social Security owns $2.8 trillion in U.S. government bonds. Government service-sponsored entities and whatnot own $2.6 trillion. The Federal Reserve owns $4.7 trillion. Pensions of the federal employee benefits, $2 trillion. Mutual funds, $3.5 trillion. State and local governments, $1 trillion. Depository institutions, $1.2. Who's a depository institution? We'll talk about that here in a second. Private fund pensions, pensions of local and state governments. Insurance companies. So now we scroll all the way down here. We see Japan owns $1.25 trillion in U.S. government debt, which is well below. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entities hold more than Japan. 7, 8 entities hold more than China, and then UK is way at $440 billion. Just they don't own enough to be worth it, man. Look, no one ever buys these bonds thinking they're going to get paid back. They buy the bonds for the interest. And right now, the 10-year Treasury has high interest. What are you going to do? You're going to sell your bonds and buy Japan? A negative interest rate policy? You're going to sell your bonds and buy Russian bonds? Brazil bonds? Come on, that's stupid. I saw this whole thing is just dumb. The idea, well, there's going to be a quantitative tightening. They're not going to buy bonds. So do people not remember how supply and demand works and how the market in its beauty works? All right, so we got supply and we got demand. All right, so we have tons of supply coming to the market if China, Japan, and everybody starts selling their bonds. Tons of supply come to the market. What happens to demand? Well, inherently it'll drop because if China, Japan, and the Fed are selling their bonds, inherently they're not buying. All right, so the demand drops. What happens to price when supply goes up and demand drops? Well, the price, anyone want to take a guess? The price goes down. What happens to the yield on a bond when price goes down? Take a guess. Take a guess. You guess right. The yield goes up. So now, because the price has dropped, the yield is higher. What now becomes more attractive? Oh, those same bonds that everyone was selling. So mutual funds who own a boatload of, $3.5 trillion of our bonds? $3.5 trillion. So, dude, the yield is up. The credit security, the credit rating of the U.S. is still good. What's the best? No alternative, man. They're the best game in town. I'm going to load up on more bonds. This isn't rocket science, man. And then what happens when they start loading up on more bonds? It brings the price back up, which brings the yield down. Oh, by the way, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to buy CDs, depository institutions. They're not actually guaranteed by the federal government. They're guaranteed by FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or NCUA, National Credit Union Administration. So I got to load up on CDs. That'll save me. No, CDs own Treasury bonds to back them so that way they can pay banks who default. Does anyone not see how here's I mean just USA Medicare? Look at all this, folks. If there is a does anyone not see the insanity? If the U.S. Treasury bond market falters, everything else is dead, man. You're done. You're done. I don't understand why people can't see this. Oh, they're gonna sell their bonds. Okay. What are they gonna do? Not only now they're getting even a better yield with the best credit quality in the world. Yeah. All right. But anyway, the point being is, if you're that scared, why are you investing in? I hope you're not investing in stocks, for heaven's sake. I mean, think about it. Do you think the stock market will last? The Treasury bond market falters? No, no. So you're going to go to CDs? No. So what are you going to do? You're going to either burn through it, or you can buy gold if you want. It seems silly to me. I mean, I think everyone should have a little bit of gold, 100%, but you're going to buy gold to protect you? That doesn't make any sense. Where's the evidence of that? The only time gold protects you is during an apocalypse. The commies come over. That's it. So what are you going to do? I'm going to put it in a freaking fire with a cash in a fireproof box in my house. Yeah, good luck with your suspicious activity reports when you go to the bank to withdraw over $10,000. We'll see if the bank says, yeah, just fill these reports out so you can keep track on it. Make sure you're not money laundering. Your house burns down. What's in a fireproof box? I mean, come on. Of all things to worry about, this ain't it, man. It's weird to me. All right, I hope this helps. We'll see you. Love your thoughts.